Hello, YouTube. Hello, Patreon. I am in my living room with all my little bags on the couch, my crystals, cards, notebooks, calendars, and homework slash scripts on my table, as well as flowers and other junk. Anyway, sometimes you have a lot on your plate, you have a lot on the table, and that is me. But it's all good. I wanted to get on here and do a collective conscience reading. I haven't done one of those in a long time. I haven't felt called to do one, and I haven't really been in a position where I was like ready, where the time was right. And I try to listen to my intuition on those things, and I try to not just push out material that isn't there. I'm not trying to reinvent the wheel, and it's not ego driven. I'm not here for someone to think I'm special and that somehow magically every single week or once a month I've got the tea, I've got the scoop, because there's some things we're meant to find on our own. There's some things we can discuss collectively, and then there's some things that are going to be a mystery to me until I'm exactly in the moment. For a long time, I had been called to be present and in the present. And actually, the collective conscious reading that I wanted to present to you guys today is very much about what's happening in the present. I don't know if I'm going to go into the future too much. I literally had to stop. I was like, in the present, future, I guess we'll be open to that. So I'm going to cast a circle around us. I keep my selenite in plastic because it has been chipping, because it's really delicate. Also, I'm trying to not let it get wet or anything, because you cannot get selenite wet. But that was a long intro. Hopefully that makes sense to my 2 patrons and my 10 YouTube subscribers? I don't know. Hopefully that makes sense to someone. I'm glad you're here. Listen, it's coming out with a bitter sting when I talk about the numbers. But, I got a lot of people watching, not a lot of people liking, sharing, commenting, subscribing. And I always think that's interesting. Why watch so far? What is the fear in the commitment? I just got married and I feel free. I feel light as a bird. And the commitment part, there were things that were nerve-wracking to me and stressful, but the commitment wasn't that. It wasn't stressful and nerve-wracking making a commitment, because I had committed myself already when I made the decision to marry them. I asked them to marry me. It was my idea. So by the time I had gotten on one knee and asked that question, I was already committed in my heart and in my life. And we were already sharing so much of our life with each other. Anyway, I was already living here. It was already a thing. So really what was nerve-wracking was feeling conflicting emotions and not knowing how to balance that, and feeling like there was an expectation to be happy and excited all the time and to be solely that all the time. During that time, I will say. And I think it's actually happening to a few of us. I've heard a friend, she was kind of describing a similar situation where she has conflicting emotions, and then I'm seeing people on the internet saying they have conflicting emotions. And then a cousin of mine was saying that they're going through something where they feel conflicting emotions. And I get the gist that in the collective conscience, we are all going through that. And I just wanted to touch base and connect with you all and say that, first of all, we are multifaceted, multidimensional, well-rounded individuals. We are interconnected, but we are also full of many different shades. There's never just one side of someone, and all of those things exist at once. I wanted to say this because I woke up thinking about this, and because I keep hearing it and I feel like it needs to be said. It is perfectly normal and okay. We often feel like we have an expectation to be one note or one shade at all times, or during, how people say there's a time and place for everything. And that can be true, but I also think that's confusing, because there's this expectation that during a happy event, you should only be happy. But you can be happy and you can miss people you love, and you can be grieving, and you can feel like you're running out of time to get everything done in time for the happy event. You can feel anxiety, you can feel hope, you can feel excitement, you can feel sadness, because it's not exactly what you expected, or because you're saying goodbye to a chapter, or anything like that. Like in my, me getting married, I was happy and joyful and excited, but I was also stressed because there were other things in my life I was also trying to get done before that event. And I was also still feeling deep sensations of grief. I have a matriarch of my family that we said, until we meet again next time, goodbye or farewell, however you acknowledge departures and deaths. We had to deal with that barely a month ago, maybe a little over a month ago. So it's still very fresh. I also lost a parent. I'm very, very close to my mom. I say that in present tense because I still believe that, but I think a lot of women, we grow up, and if we are someone who wants to be married, we envision our mom being there part of the process. And it's very hard to feel like you're getting so much done on your own, and you're racing the clock and things are falling apart along the way. Like, I had trouble with my vehicle, my cell phone, everything was kind of making it more inconvenient. I kept having these hiccups. And in the meantime, all I wanted was my mom, and all I wanted was my grandmother. And it was kind of stressing me out. But at the same time, I was so grateful and thrilled to finally be united in holy matrimony with my best friend and my perfect match. I was feeling both things at once. So I say this as a personal testimony, and I say this as like, hey, it takes one to know one. I definitely understand how you feel right now. A lot of us are dealing with conflicting emotions, and I'm learning to just take it all and to accept it all as perfect and good, because whatever I'm feeling in the moment, I'm probably meant to feel, because it's probably giving me information that I need to grow or to heal or just to survive. So, I just wanted to say that, like, if you're going through it, I'm going through it. I have a friend who's going through it who I'm not related to. I have a relative that's going through it. I'm seeing people on the internet go through it. We're all going through it. And I was sitting here, and I was like in my meditation this morning, and I had a palm stone, which I started using palm stones. I used to never like smooth stones. I always had like a rough rock in my hand. Like all my crystals are rough like this. But this one is layered and has different stones inside of it that align with different chakras. And, it's easy to pick and choose and decide what rock you think is pretty and nice, and what you would take away. Like, you wish you could rip it apart into pieces. I think we do that to ourselves all the time. And I was holding this, and that's when it clicked. Like, wait a minute. This rock would not have its purpose and do what it needs to do for me if it was in pieces. It has to be whole. It has to have all the pieces. It has to have all the emotions, all the colors. So that's kind of how people are. And it really just kind of clicked for me when I was like holding this in my hand. I'm holding this in one coffee, holding this in one hand, having my coffee in the other hand. Excuse my speech. And just contemplating that, like drinking and just like holding the stone and letting the light wash over me from the window, and being recharged and revitalized that way. And it really got me to consider the expectations we put on ourselves, and the parts of ourselves we choose to like, and the parts of ourselves we choose to dislike, and how in order to have all that we're meant to have and be all that we're meant to be, we have to accept all that we are, which includes the parts of us that don't make sense, that aren't meeting our expectations of what we think we're supposed to be in the moment. So, enough with the preaching. I want to get into these cards. I haven't pulled out the Varhata Major Arcana Tarot in a long time. This is a deck I do just for collective conscious readings. It's all world issues with this deck, and I haven't tapped into that energy in a long time. I had to take some steps away because we were all going through so much, and I needed to do some healing and some recovery for myself. And it was a lot. It was a very heavy thing to tap into. And I think I'm in a position where we can try. So let's try. Okay. I want to ask the question, where are we right now? How about that? Where are we right now? Shuffling. I'm shuffling in my lap, so we'll see how this goes. Where are we right now in the collective conscious? We have the High Priestess card. I'll show you these again. How must we approach? Oh no. Where are we right now? What is happening to us? What is happening to us? No. There we go. We have the Strength card that came out sideways. So some of us are feeling like this and like that. And we'll get to that in a second. How must we approach this? AKA, what to do now? How must we take this approach? How much we approach this? We have the Hermit upright. All right, cool. Let's get into it. So we have, where are we? Like, what is our current status? What is happening? Where are we? What is happening? How can we approach this? We got where, what, and how. So here's the where. Where are we? We're at the High Priestess right now. A lot of us are tapping into our intuition and stepping into our truth, coming to terms with our own ideas and really listening. We're all starting to open up and wake up, and that's been happening all throughout 2020. I remember talking about this towards the end of 2019, and seeing it happen in 2020 has been traumatic, beautiful, painful, hopeful, and frustrating all at the same time. Just like that stone with all these different colors, it has been every single flavor, every single shade in the book all at the same time, but it was 100% necessary. A lot has changed and we have learned a lot, and I can guarantee you everyone you meet and everyone you know is a completely different person than who they were prior to 2020. Now we're in 2021. It's been over a year and we're all very different. So this is kind of where we are. We're in this new phase of listening to each other and to our hearts and to what we know to be true and what we know to be just and what we know to be our path, what is serving our highest good. And a lot of us are owning it and being ourselves for the first time in a long time. Pardon me, there are some animals in my backyard that are being very loud. I have to keep turning around to figure out what the heck is going on. So, very distracting. The second card is, what is happening? So for us, a lot of us are in the state of, we have this on its side. This is a Strength card. I'm gonna show it to you upright. A lot of us are conquering our inner beast, and a lot of us are feeding the beast. A lot of us, and when I say the beast, I mean who you are animalistically, what nurtures you, what grows you. We are in Taurus season right now. A lot of us are in the mood of recovery, self-care, really taking care of ourselves, treating ourselves, or addressing our issues at hand. So some of us are in a place of recovery, and some of us are feeling recovered or feeling recharged and revitalized and strengthened. And some of us are feeling both of those things, like I said, multiple things at the exact same time. Like I myself, I feel the need to really rest and recharge after a very, very social event. I also am feeling refreshed and feeling recharged after a very, very social event. I feel both. And I feel so much like that I'm able to finally do a collective conscience reading after months of not doing actual card pull for the collective conscience. So a lot of us are kind of in that, it's not even so much an in-between place, it's you're feeling both. You're feeling your body, everything is realigning. You're having to recharge, but you're also feeling charged. You're not left on empty. That's what the news is. Being in a place of both means there's a little something left in the tank. And then the last card, and this will conclude our reading because I don't want to make this too long and it's already running over. is the Hermit. When I was asking, how can we approach this? The Hermit encourages us to tune in, to unplug, and to take a step back and start asking ourselves the questions. A lot of times when we feel lost or we feel trapped in a place of ambiguity, we reach out and we want answers from everybody else. And although that can be really great and it can help us collaborate and come up with solutions together, it's very important to turn in and to listen to your inner knowing, and do not forget how far you've come, because this is the High Priestess card. This lady, this High Priestess, is a master in her own right. She's a master of herself. She's a master of her soul. And she's a student and someone who's learning about her surroundings and interacting with that all at the same time. The master doesn't stop growing. You don't hit a peak and then you just stop. You continue to rise and you continue to transform. And sometimes growth and healing can be confusing and painful, and it's important to understand who's in charge. I keep seeing this TikTok trend, and it's memes as well. It talks about like being the main character, and I think it's a really interesting narrative about the kind of this is also Virgo energy. So this is like cleaning house and getting your house in order, getting yourself in order. And I think about this whole narrative of be the main character in your life. In one way, that's very helpful because it reminds you to return to the self and understand how valuable and how important you are to your own life, because your life is yours. But it also can be harmful because we're all these important pieces of like a greater puzzle. So when you feel out of sync and you feel like you're being pulled in a bunch of directions, this is just a reminder to come back to the self, because we've all gone through so much, and that's not to say that more isn't coming. More is afoot, and I think we need to remember that when these new things come in the future, or in the very near present, I'll say, we need to return back to ourselves. Do not forget, everything's opening up. People are going back to work. People are going back to bars and to clubs. And we're not taking a step back. We're taking a step forward. So while you're moving forward and getting some of those old pleasures and things like that back in your life, remember how far you've come and who you've become in the meantime while taking a step back from those things. Don't neglect yourself. Don't lose yourself in all the change that is coming, because a lot is still happening. Thank you for staying this long for this reading. I wish you all light and love and luck in whatever's coming to you. And we're all in here together on this, okay? Some of us feel like crap. Some of us feel amazing. And some of us feel both at the same time. Be patient with yourself. Be patient with others. And take it one day at a time. I have to tell myself that all the time. I have to take it one day at a time. I love you. Thank you for being here.